Hi guys, many of you know I played a game called Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. I actually live streamed it for a few weeks and played it all the way through, and I get asked quite a lot what I thought of the game, and so I'm going to try and describe my thoughts right here. Now, for those of you that do not know, this game is not a sort of intense, immersive RPG. It is an action game through and through, and it makes no apologies for it. It is a game where you are going to run around hacking, slashing, shooting your mystical bow, using your amazing powers, and slaughtering orcs by the tens of thousands. It is action non-stop. That is not to say it doesn't have a story. It does actually have a story. It's a pretty good one. You are a dead man. You were killed after watching your family getting killed, and it's not too big a spoiler to tell you this. It happens right at the start, and you come back to life. You come back to life, and you are accompanied by a spirit. The spirit of a dead elf, a wraith, and you inherit all of his powers. And together, well, I'm not going to spoil it too much by telling you what you are both trying to do, but let's just say vengeance comes into it quite a lot. It's a pretty good story. The acting is very well done. The graphics, the cutscenes work. The ending was a little weak, and by a little weak I mean extremely weak. Honestly, it was a pretty appallingly bad ending. It sort of just happened without you really needing to be there, and it felt very disappointing. However, it doesn't detract from the rest of the game, and the rest of the game was an amazing amount of fun. One of the first things you notice with a game like this are the graphics, and the graphics are very good. The game does look very nice. It does require a good system to run it on the highest settings. In fact, I actually cranked it down slightly just to make sure I had a little wiggle room, but it's not that bad. You can run it on the lower settings and the game still looks very, very good, and the performance is surprisingly stable. Considering you set it up for a bit of a demo and you think to yourself, well, it's going to get worse in combat, and honestly, I didn't notice it dropping that much. And the combat is hectic. There were times when I had 150, 200 orcs attacking me, and no, I am not exaggerating. Some of the battles are incredible. They're just throwing wave after wave of bad guys at you, and I never really noticed any problems. So from that perspective, this game was a big win. It looked great and still felt smooth the whole time. But of course, an action game really does rely on its action, and that is where this game excels. The fighting is amazing. It's very dynamic. It involves a lot of cool moves, a lot of cool powers. It feels pretty diverse. You can do things in various different ways. You can go all out attacking with your sword, you can use the bow, you can use stealth, or you can really use your powers an awful lot. And if you mix them together well, you become ridiculously powerful. And I can tell you, you become so powerful the game becomes trivially easy, and yet for some reason it doesn't get boring. The fact that you are so overpowered, it's actually part of the fun. You just pick fights with 100 orcs reasonably confident that you are going to butcher them. I mean, the game is not that hard to master, even if you turn off many of the hints, because the game gives you hints of when you should block. Even if you turn them off, once you get used to the game, if you pay attention, it's not that difficult. And yet, it is still a fun game to play. It's still a rewarding game. When you finish those fights, you feel pretty damned epic. And there is actually more to it than just the fighting, though. You can actually take over the minds of your defeated opponents, and you can control them. You can either get information from them, or as you progress in power, you get the ability to send them off to threaten your enemies, and your enemies get more powerful when you threaten them, which in turn makes the rewards for killing those enemies better. Or you can control those enemies. You can keep them as your servants. Once you get towards the upper levels of power, you literally can take over the orcs and the orc captains and make them your own minions, your own army, and really just take over Mordor, which is a great feeling. And in the end, that's what this game is about. Power. The feeling of having unbridled power at your fingertips, the ability to raise an army and challenge the mighty, or to face them all by yourself and still kill them by the thousand. This feeling of being almost godlike. Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor will give you that feeling. You will walk around Mordor feeling like the land itself trembles at your coming, and love every minute of it. Unless, of course, you like orcs, in which case this game might bother you quite a lot.